Welcome to the Recovering Out Loud podcast. I'm your host, Charles Van Laux. Thanks for joining me. What does recovering out loud mean? Well, for a long time in our active addictions, we hid a lot of different things, right? We had kind of a double life going on sometimes. So, recovering out loud is all about being transparent, rigorously honest. Now, when I'm recovering out loud, that means I don't hide my story. I don't hide my experiences, my strength, or my hope. I'm open about all of it because for me, to be fully in recovery, I have to be open. I have to share. I have to get all of those things off my chest that were holding me back. And by continuing to hide my recovery as well, I'm still kind of hiding a little bit. I'm still not really opening up fully. So I absolutely support recovering out loud. I say share your story with anyone who will listen, right? 9 times out of 10, I would be willing to bet you that person you're talking to, they're either in recovery themselves, or they know someone in recovery, or they know someone who probably should be in recovery. So it's a lot of times just built up in our own minds. I remember in my early recovery, I felt like I couldn't really talk about it with people who were, normies. By the way, hi, normies. I hope you're all on the show. Love you guys as well. But sometimes it can be really jarring and difficult to bring those things up, especially to people that we don't feel understand them because they haven't been there. Now, this is where my normies, if you support someone in recovery, thank you because they need you, you know? And I think sometimes it can be worthwhile to evaluate that support and see and really open up a dialogue with that individual and see, am I supporting this person in the best ways for their recovery? Not just how I feel would be the most helpful for them or what would be helpful for me, right? You have to ask them, you have to talk to them about it. And that can only start when we recover out loud and truly open up. We have to allow people into our lives. Because as the famous TED Talk, Everything We Thought We Knew About Addiction is Wrong, as that TED Talk mentioned, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is connection, right? When we're isolated and alone, we bond with whatever we can, right? It's a substance, it's whatever. So when we remove that, we have to put something in its place. We have to find a new form of support. We have to open up. We have to connect with others, right? It's very, very important. So I urge everyone to try recovering out loud, right? Maybe that's taking a hat, for example, right? Maybe that's wearing a recovery hat or t-shirt to let others know that you're in recovery, right? I can tell you in my 9 years in recovery, I have, for the majority of that time, worn recovery shirts and hats and told people my story, anyone who will listen. And I have yet to run into a single person who's had anything negative whatsoever to say. So the next time you're considering if you should open up to somebody about it, I say go for it. Take a chance. Because remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. I've been a peer coach with Connect for about 5 years now. And I got to tell you, this has been some of the most impactful work that I've ever done. When I myself came out of treatment almost 9 years ago, there were some pitfalls that I wish I would have had a peer coach to help me navigate. Today, I'd like to talk about our sponsor of the show, Connect Peer Coaching. Connect follows the 7 dimensions of wellness, which is kind of like a whole body approach to recovery. So we're not just simply removing a substance, right? We're addressing the social issues that affect addiction. We're addressing the work issues, everything. That's what the 7 dimensions are all about. We also meet clients where they are both physically and metaphorically. A lot of times people will come to us with one large issue that they have going on, or several. And it's our job to help them put out that first fire and then plant seeds in a direction that will help with their overall recovery. One great thing about peer coaching that I have found in my work with my clients is the ability to try multiple different approaches to recovery. So, what do I mean by that? Well, for me, I went to a treatment center, and when I got out, I did therapy and went to as many meetings as I could and lived with family members. And that was the mixture that initially was helpful for me, right? Now, just because I recovered that way doesn't mean that other people will recover the same way. So it's important to explore those things, right? It's important to see, what things in our life are holding us back, where those barriers are, how we can get around them, And I think that that's where the peer coaching work for me has been very impactful, for my clients as well, because a lot of times, they would never have thought to try X, Y, and Z, but that particular mixture was helpful for them, And I would say, if you imagine a house, right, we have the foundation of the house, which you can think of as our recovery, our immediate recovery from drugs and alcohol, right? So as soon as we are able to, get some time under our belt, right? Get some clean and sober time under our belt, and not obsessively think over using, not continue to relapse, all that stuff. Our foundation of the house is solid, right? Once that's solid, we can start to build upon it, right? This comes back to the whole life approach that we were talking about with the 7 dimensions of wellness, right? So once we have that foundation, then we can examine different areas of our life and we can see, hey, my relationship, for example, is solid. Love my relationship. It's perfect. Nothing to work on there. Cool. Over here, what about work? What about school? Do I want to go back to school and earn a degree and do some different work? It allows us to really slow down and evaluate our life and see, where do we want to add? Where do we want to take things away? We don't just have to accept our life as, oh, well, this is just our life. That's kind of the beauty of recovery. It's a little bit like a reset button, because once we take back control over our own life and we are the ones in the driver's seat, not the substance, then we can see some real change. Then we can address these areas that may have in part helped to drive our addiction to begin with. We explore the Winter Symposium, which is a large treatment conference here in Colorado, and see what they have to offer. I really enjoyed learning about all the different innovations in recovery and treatment, and we'll definitely be having some of the people from the symposium on the show soon. I also wanted to share this image with everyone. I'm happy to send this to anybody who writes and asks for it or posts a message on here. But this is all about no more suffering in silence. If you're having a hard time, you can't pick up that phone and call someone, just post this image, send it to somebody, Just reach out in whatever way to let people know that you need to talk to somebody. And remember, we must learn from the past or we are doomed to repeat it.